What really happened to Roberts after winning American Idol? From industry blacklist to fake bankruptcy news, here is the shocking 2026 truth they tried to hide. How does the most celebrated television competition victor of 2025 seemingly evaporate from the public consciousness just months after a highly publicized multi-million-dollar recording contract? In May 2025, the national broadcast of American Idol concluded with Roberts, a former physical education instructor from Mississippi, the championship. The visual of his victory suggested the immediate commencement of a highly lucrative, ubiquitous media career. However, as the entertainment sector moved into 2026, Roberts' public presence experienced a precipitous and highly unusual decline. Market analysts and media watchdogs began tracking a distinct lack of promotional appearances, press releases, or scheduled touring dates, standard operational procedures for a newly crowned pop music asset. This uncharacteristic silence generated a vacuum of information, which was rapidly filled by intense public speculation. In the modern digital media ecosystem, an artist's absence is rarely interpreted as a neutral event. Fans and industry commentators alike began aggressively questioning the structural integrity of the reality television pipeline. Was Roberts actively choosing to retreat from the overwhelming pressure of sudden mainstream visibility, or was his absence the result of complex, behind-the-scenes legal and contractual disputes? From a journalistic standpoint, a disappearance of this magnitude necessitates a thorough investigation into the operational mechanics of the recording industry. When a television network successfully cultivates a massive audience for a specific talent, the sudden cessation of that talent's commercial output points towards significant operational friction, prompting investigators to look deeply into the corporate infrastructure that was supposed to launch his international career. When an emerging artist suddenly vanishes from commercial radio playlists, is it a reflection of changing consumer tastes or the result of an intentional, coordinated corporate embargo? As the silence surrounding Roberts extended throughout late 2025, sophisticated industry monitors began detecting signs of severe internal conflict regarding his debut studio project. Entertainment journalists received numerous background briefings from anonymous sources indicating a fundamental creative divergence between Roberts and the network's affiliated recording label. Reports suggested that executive boards were heavily the newly signed artist to adopt a highly synthesized, algorithmically optimized pop aesthetic, directly contradicting the raw, authentic vocal style that originally secured his massive television audience. When Roberts allegedly refused to compromise his core sonic identity, insiders claim the corporate apparatus responded by implementing a definitive professional freeze. In industry terminology, this is often characterized as a soft blacklist, a strategic where a label fulfills its basic contractual obligations, but intentionally withholds the vital promotional capital and radio syndication budgets necessary to sustain mainstream visibility. By completely marketing support, executives can effectively neutralize an artist's commercial momentum without technically violating the initial employment agreement. This punitive strategy effectively serves as a cautionary directive to other newly signed talents. Compliance with the overarching corporate audio formula is strictly non-negotiable. For Roberts, this alleged institutional blockade meant his highly anticipated debut was functionally stalled, leaving millions of consumers completely unaware of the intense administrative warfare occurring behind closed boardroom doors to control his artistic output. In the absence of verifiable corporate press releases, how quickly can predatory digital media platforms fabricate a narrative of total financial ruin to capitalize on a celebrity's sudden vulnerability? The informational void created by Roberts' professional hiatus provided an optimal environment for the proliferation of highly aggressive, unverified digital media narratives. By early 2026, a coordinated network of entertainment blogs and social media commentary channels began disseminating reports that the former champion had experienced a catastrophic financial collapse. These unauthorized publications utilized highly sensationalized clickbait strategies, falsely asserting that Roberts had rapidly exhausted his substantial television prize capital on poor investments and excessive personal expenditures. The prevailing digital narrative aggressively painted him as the latest statistical casualty of the notorious reality television cycle, suggesting he had retreated to his Mississippi in a state of complete professional and economic defeat. From a media literacy perspective, the rapid amplification of these baseless allegations demonstrates the predatory nature of the modern digital attention economy. Outlets actively monetized his silence by engineering a compelling, albeit entirely fabricated, tragedy that resonated with audiences preconditioned to expect the rapid downfall of instant celebrities. This concerted effort to damage his public reputation highlights the severe lack of editorial oversight within the digital gossip sector. Without any official representatives actively managing crisis communications, Roberts was subjected to a relentless campaign of digital defamation, forcing industry analysts to question whether the public was witnessing a genuine personal tragedy or an incredibly sophisticated, algorithmically driven character assassination designed exclusively to generate advertising revenue. What strategic alternatives remain for a globally recognized vocalist when the traditional, corporate-controlled recording infrastructure actively obstructs their professional advancement? While the digital media ecosystem enthusiastically documented his alleged professional demise, a comprehensive journalistic investigation into Roberts' actual operations in 2026 reveals a completely contrary reality. Far from suffering a financial collapse, financial records and property logs indicate that Roberts was executing a highly sophisticated, covert strategic. Recognizing the limitations and creative restrictions imposed by his initial corporate agreements, he intentionally orchestrated his withdrawal from the traditional Hollywood promotional circuit. He deliberately bypassed public disputes and protracted legal litigation, opting instead to liquidate a strategic portion of his initial television earnings to construct a state-of-the-art, entirely independent recording facility. By establishing a private, off-the-grid production hub located far outside the geographic influence of major entertainment conglomerates, Roberts fundamentally altered the power dynamics of his career. This autonomous infrastructure allowed him to bypass the traditional executive approval processes that had previously stalled his creative output. He was now capable of writing, producing, and his own high-fidelity audio products without authorization from the corporate committees that had attempted to fundamentally alter his sonic identity. This calculated operational pivot demonstrates a remarkable level of business acumen, transforming what the public perceived as an industry defeat into the foundational framework for a highly resilient, completely self-sufficient independent enterprise capable of rivaling the technical output of major label competitors. By retaining full ownership of his master recordings and publishing rights, Roberts was effectively his entire business model. He transitioned from being a highly managed, dependent employee of a corporate label to operating as the chief executive of his own entertainment entity, that his artistic integrity remained totally. Can an independent audio release completely circumvent the billion-dollar promotional machinery of traditional record labels to achieve international commercial dominance? The definitive proof of Roberts' successful transition to an independent operational model materialized in the first quarter of 2026. Without the benefit of a traditional press rollout, subsidized radio syndication, or massive corporate marketing budgets, Roberts released an emotionally resonant, self-produced single directly to major digital streaming platforms. Relying exclusively on organic consumer discovery and direct-to-audience social media engagement, the track experienced an unprecedented viral acceleration. Within 72 hours of its unannounced distribution, independent market analysts reported that the single had successfully bypassed the heavily guarded, corporate-sponsored pop playlists, a premier position on independent and global streaming charts. This sudden, overwhelming commercial validation fundamentally disrupted the conventional industry consensus regarding how a mainstream hit is generated. Roberts proved empirically that exceptional, authentic vocal talent, when properly harnessed and directly delivered to an established consumer base, does not require algorithmic manipulation or synthetic audio processing to achieve maximum market penetration. The release effectively circumvented the traditional gatekeepers of the music sector, proving that the corporate apparatus that previously attempted to suppress his career was ultimately unnecessary for his sustained commercial success. By independently a massive global audience, Roberts not only vindicated his previous creative disputes, but also established a highly lucrative, direct monetization pipeline that completely excluded the corporate executives who had initially sought to control his professional trajectory. This strategic victory serves as a profound case study for modern artists, illustrating that technological advancements in digital distribution have finally provided independent musicians with the concrete logistical tools necessary to successfully compete against established entertainment monopolies on a global scale. How does an independent recording artist successfully convert a massive, singular television windfall into a sustainable, multi-generational corporate portfolio? Beyond his highly publicized return to the global streaming charts, a comprehensive financial audit of Roberts' 2026 asset portfolio reveals an even more impressive narrative of long-term economic strategy. While predatory digital media outlets falsely reported his financial ruin, public property records and corporate filings confirm that Roberts was systematically executing a sophisticated wealth management protocol. Rather than engaging in the rapid, high-visibility consumer spending frequently associated with newly acquired celebrity status, he quietly allocated a substantial majority of his reality television capital into a diverse array of commercial real estate acquisitions across the southern United States. By purchasing income-generating commercial properties and developing a self-sustaining financial fortress, Roberts completely immunized himself against the notorious volatility of the entertainment sector. He recognized early on that the public's attention is inherently transient, and therefore utilized his temporary mainstream ubiquity to secure permanent, tangible assets. This strategic economic officially transitions him from the vulnerable category of a dependent pop vocalist into the highly secure role of a corporate investor. As we evaluate the complete trajectory of his post-television career, the data conclusively demonstrates that Roberts was never a victim of industry politics. He is, in fact, a highly strategic architect of his own independence, proving that true success in the modern media landscape requires prioritizing long-term asset accumulation and absolute creative autonomy over the fleeting, highly conditional prestige offered by traditional entertainment conglomerates.